We don't have enough time. I will be back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are listening to Unity FM 93.5. Welcome to my show on raising children. I'm Shalina Lit. As a continuation of last week, we're doing a part 2 of absent fathers. Last week I learned a lot, definitely, on the subject of the absent father. Now, was it my ignorance in looking at the title? But part of me often wondered that and being an absent father was about the father physically not being there. But indeed, what I learned last week was that it wasn't the case. It may have been also a situation where the father is present in the house, but it's about emotional availability, which plays a big role. This week I've decided to focus on the solutions. It's obviously a really messy subject and very complex. Obviously there are a lot of egos involved with the parents, and I think, I'm not in a position to give advice on that sense. But obviously we all have the children's best interests at heart, and that's what I think we should focus on. So today, the guests that I have calling in, inshallah, will help us get a little bit of clarity on that. In the first half, we're going to be speaking to Ilyas Karmani, inshallah, who not only is an imam in Bradford, but also is, in a psychologist on the subject. So, he's very fluent in that area. So hopefully, inshallah, we can get a good understanding of some of the things that we can do. Now, in reality, I've had a lot of people send me messages via Facebook, etc., and I really welcome the feedback. I don't have all the answers. It's a learning journey for me as well, and what I try to do is incorporate Quran and Sunnah and take it back to Quran and Sunnah, because indeed we know that the religion is perfect. It's maybe the way that we're practicing it that can bring about certain errors. So ideally that is what I do. Okay, so we're going to go to the phone lines now. Hopefully, Ilyas is there, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Okay, absent fathers. Last week we did the topic, and I learnt quite a lot. I learnt that it was about not necessarily the father physically not being there, but about the emotional availability. So did you manage to have a quick peep at the show last week?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. So what is your views on the subject? What I wanted to focus on is a couple of things. And the first question is, what can lack of emotional availability from the children lead to? Because, what I've said in the earlier part, as we've just introduced, is that we can't focus on the parents and how they should go about things. We can only focus on the children's well-being and how we can facilitate
and
their
the impact
well-being.
on young people, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
what's interestingly, I was actually doing some work today on something called social and emotional aspects of learning.
Yeah.
This is an area of work that I kind of specialise with in terms of schools, because obviously if a young person goes to school, the school caters for, academic ability, sporting ability, even health and lifestyle.
Yeah.
But some schools are not so good on what we call the social and emotional aspects. If a child is going to school, let's say he's well fed and is healthy, but he's not emotionally healthy, that child cannot really be expected to learn in an effective way. And if that, and the biggest source of emotional distress and emotional anxiety for children and young people is often family-related issues.
Right.
I did dealing with a case yesterday, again, someone who was repeatedly bullied at school. And bullied at school is unfortunately from a single-parent family. So obviously the bullies look for anything to target in terms of a vulnerability. His vulnerability was that, single-parent family picked on because of that. Obviously, that's completely now unsettled his education, learning. He's got such a negative reaction to school, and now he's starting to show aggressive, antisocial behavior.
Yeah.
So the ramifications of this are immense. And what happens are there are so many casualties out there, emotional casualties, who then unfortunately go on to repeat the cycle. It's a cycle that has gone on for generation after generation. If a young person,
it's interesting you say that, because what I wanted to touch on very briefly is if, as an adult, we acknowledge that we've become caught up in a vicious cycle, and we acknowledge that we've been affected by absent father syndrome, as they call it. What are the first steps we can take as adults so that we can break through it in order to protect our children maybe from this? Because from what I'm getting from this whole subject, and I mean, last week, I have to be honest, I had to listen to the show a couple of times because every time I listened, there was stuff that I'd not noticed, and it made me reflect myself on how I understand things. So, for the adult, the parent, either the mother or the father, where do they begin in that healing process? Bearing in mind Quran and Sunnah.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we look at it from in an Islamic perspective, also a generic, universal perspective. I don't think they necessarily conflict with one another.
Yeah.
From an Islamic point of view, actually, there's a recognition that the family is the building block of the society. A two-parent family of a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, mother and father, who are nurturing and bringing up children in a two-parent family. The mother and father themselves have to recognize, the preparation actually comes before you have children. Is that, are you a partnership? Are you a team? And are you developing a tranquil household where there are positive values, where it's an emotionally secure place?
Yeah.
Where, so if you've developed a household like that, that's the receptacle for children. Children grow up in a balanced household with emotionally responsible people, where there are positive values. Then inevitably that becomes the learning that children have. One of the things I say, so this is a critical thing, and obviously this is the right of a child. In Islam we believe in every child matters. We believe in that. I can give you many Islamic references about the protection of children, the safeguarding of children, and the nurturing and maintenance of children. Islam was very proactive 14 centuries ago in terms of ensuring that all children had the same start, had the same opportunities, had rights. And the rights of the child are that it's brought up in a household like that with two parents. It's a human right of a child that they are brought up with responsible adults that nurture and care for them.
Yeah.
And the example of the Prophet ﷺ, although he was an orphan himself, is that he had that positive influence all the way through his childhood, teenage years, and his adult life, that they were senior male role models, mentors, and family members who were there nurturing, caring, supporting, assisting him, alayhi salatu wasalam. And so this is, I would say, is a fundamental human right, the right of the child that they are brought up in this balanced way, because we see the psychological, the emotional, and the physical impact on the child in so many aspects of their life when that's absent, when it's not there. And then, as you said, you repeat a cycle until the next generation, and it goes on generationally. So you've got to break that cycle at some point.
Okay, so what I've acknowledged then is that where it's not possible, because obviously there is sometimes the breakdown of the family, or maybe social services become involved and the child is taken away, etc. This is where I think it is so important that, yes, we do go back to the seerah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because where the father wasn't present, what came in place, and this is where I think it's very important, and potentially, am I right, as parents, we need to acknowledge that this void is filled, and that is replacing in the child's, upbringing, that role model, that person that is going to believe in that child and say, it's all right, son, you can do this, or, are we right in thinking that?
No, you're absolutely spot on. Obviously in the inner city with the young people I work with, many of the young at-risk young men, whether it's criminality, gangs, drugs, or whatever, you'll find that the root is always the family, and you'll see that there's family dysfunction, and there is an absent father. In 9 out of 10 cases, I always ask the young men that I work with, okay, what's the relationship with a father figure, and they have none, so they search for a surrogate father. It's a search for a father. It's a natural belonging. that they're looking for that. And then if that person happens to be the wrong person, who's I call it a powerful male in a gang or involved in criminal activity, then you can see that the young person is channeled, unfortunately, into the wrong direction. So it's critical. Now, if I can go back a few steps.
Yes.
Just what you're really identifying is that in the Western context, in British society at the moment, the biggest challenge we have is rebuilding the family unit, because the family has been under attack for decades.
Yeah.
You know, we've been destabilizing it's very, you know, no one talks about family values. If we talk about family values, people think, oh, this is something which is out of touch. You know, this is something which is, very a conservative value that, you know, is not really in line with our liberal modern thinking now. But the reality is that, you know, the family has been under attack for decades. Social services, various other institutions in society, unfortunately, have imbalanced the relationship between parents and children. And I have many cases where I'm dealing with where children, unfortunately, have, because they are given lots of rights and empowered, have divorced their parents and have actually fractured from their parents.
I have to laugh at that. I mean, you know, when I heard about it as a youngster, you know, in America, you can divorce your parents. Are you telling me they can do it in this country yet?
Well, what they can do is that obviously after a certain... I don't want to put ideas into children's heads, but any child can walk into a social services office and will say that, you know, my relationship with my parents has broken down. There's aggression, there's neglect, there's violence, there's abuse. That child then has to be protected. And unfortunately, in most cases, the social services remove the child from the family unit.
See, ideally, this...
And that happens in most cases. And as soon as that's happened, and for me, one of the most important things is family mediation. You know, look, there will always be fractures. You know, that's why one of the important things in parenting workshops is that, you know, when your children are going through you're going through a transition, your daughters and your sons, you know, you will expect to have a fracture with them. So let's manage that fracture better.
Yeah.
Let's, you know, rather than make it wider and wider, because if you make it wider and wider, then what happens is that inevitably you lose your children. You know, and you've got to be able to manage that. So inevitably, that's why family mediation, good quality family mediation, good quality listening skills, engagement skills, and resolving these conflicts is so important. Unfortunately, the power now is imbalanced in so many places in the UK. Social services departments, unfortunately, will side with the child over the parents.
Yeah. And
that destabilizes the family unit even further. And so one of the things I always say to a lot of fathers out there, Muslim fathers and non-Muslim fathers, I said, look, don't mess this relationship up with you, because if you do, unfortunately, if children's services and social services get involved, you've lost in most cases, unfortunately, it doesn't end up positively at all. On top of that, you know, obviously, inevitably, there are divorces as well. You know, people are getting divorced, families are, marriages are breaking up as well. If that's, you know, inevitably things like that happen, don't damage your children as a result of divorce. Don't make your children pawns in the
and this goes both ways, doesn't it? Because, you know, the typical adults involved in this, the mother and the father, can often, you know, become so at war with each other that they lose sight, you know, of the value that they have between them, and that is the child.
That's right. Children's welfare should come first. It's paramount.
Yeah. So what advice could we give to them? Because for me, the important thing is, and what I try to raise on the show, is I try to give parents the awareness of what's to come if we don't know who our children are and what's surrounding them.
Well, I'll say three things. First and foremost, recognize children's welfare is paramount. They should not be victimized or in any way treated neglectfully or, suffer as a result of the conflict between two parents. So that's important. Always remember children come first. They are, and especially the younger they are, the more vulnerable they are. Number two, which is important, is this. Just because two people are not married to one another doesn't mean they can't be good parents to a child. Sometimes people have a mental block. Oh, we're not married. That's it. You know, so therefore we...
So here's the big question. I think, right? So obviously, you know, majority of these cases that, you know, the parents have separated, or let's even think if you're the father and you're in your household and you think, well, I'm doing my job because I'm sitting at home and I go home and whatever. How do we make ourselves emotionally available to our children? How do we fill that void?
We've jumped slightly, but on that point, what I'll say, how do you make yourself talk to them and listen to them and understand their reality? and understand what they're going through. And when they're young, you pick up on their body language. You pick up when we mothers, dads, you pick up, you see your child's infant behavior, the child's distressed, the child's hungry, the child's sleepy, the child's, irritable. What we've stopped doing is that when they start going into puberty and adolescence, we again stop picking up on these micro gestures, this kind of this behavior, and we stop connecting with our kids. So connect with them, understand the reality, listen to them, talk to them, do things with them, bond with them. So that's the only way it's going to happen. And if between you and your child there is no openness, so that they, for example, let's say, and this is why I run a lot of the sex and relationship education workshops.
Okay.
If young people don't talk to their parents about sex and relationship issues, I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy talking to your kids about this. Muslim, Muslim or non-Muslim, from an Islamic point of view, you've got to give your children sex education from an Islamic sex education point of view. If you don't do that, then you know what? They're going to go somewhere else for that. Which means that a whole very important aspect of their behavior, they're not going to talk to you about it. In which case, you've kind of then lost that connection.
And this is what I'm saying, is that the world that our children are being raised in, especially in Britain, they see on all these young documentaries, Hannah Montana, and I don't know what the latest ones are.
Yeah.
But we see the young girls dressed in a certain way. They have the topics of girlfriends and boyfriends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We cannot ignore that our children are being exposed to these things.
These are very strong social influences that are socializing and programming our children. Whether it's American, like I said, teeny programs, or the internet. These are the massive socializers.
Yeah.
And unless you are providing, I say, a 360 degrees alternative, unless you can provide a stronger alternative, you've lost the battle. And you've lost your kids in many ways, and in terms of developing those core
This
values.
is what I'm saying. I think we really have to reprioritize what our values are here. And, if we go back to Islam, Islam in action, and we do stand by our responsibilities and we do right by our children, then I think, it helps us, practice, our way of life, And this is what I try to do, is I say, okay, not only do we address these subjects, but we try to just digest, okay, well, how do we implement Quran and Sunnah in this reality? Because what I see, and I'm just going off personal experience, is I see the righteous and pious person on one end, and then when I see the result of where their children are heading, I think you're not in sync there, or you're ignoring.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, do we have to maybe wake up a few lazy parents and acknowledge that if you are not going to take part in raising your children, other people will be raising your children?
It's all, parents have to be aware that it's already happening. Their children are being exposed 360 degrees to all kinds of influences which are against the core values that you yourself perhaps want to represent. And unless you are actually challenging those and strongly embedding your values, then you've lost the battle. You will, unfortunately, lose the battle. And sometimes parents seem to forget that, obviously children are looking at you as role models, and if your behavior is not consistent with what you're preaching and what you're saying, they won't follow you. And this is a enormous, what we call amana, responsibility. Your children are a trust from Allah. They're not your property. They're there just as a gift and blessing from Allah for you to obviously nurture and develop and point in the right direction. So you've got to take this responsibility enormously seriously. And one of the things I always say is that, look, mothers, they feed the stomach, but they don't feed the soul. And your parents have got to feed the soul. We clothe them on the outside. We've got to clothe them in the inside. With character, with values, with that real iman, that sincerity of faith, and all these qualities. So, and if we don't, unfortunately, you'll see the impact. The other thing which is really important for parents to understand is that unless you put that very balanced parenting in place, you are damaging your children. You will damage your children, and they will have negative qualities that they unfortunately will repeat in the future. One of the things I say, when you look at, say, preparation, how does a young man learn how to be a husband? He learns how to be a husband by watching his father and how he conducts himself with his mother.
Yeah.
So one of the things I said, if you have a father, let's say, who is aggressive, who responds with aggression, then unfortunately this is a learned behavior.
Yeah.
If you have a father who doesn't do any work in the house, doesn't lift a finger, it's learned behavior.
See, this is what I'm saying. It's about re-educating ourselves, you know, and understanding that ideally we all have our role model, and that is Prophet Muhammad.
Of course, the Prophet
sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
and ultimately, you know, we see that complete model, uswatun hasana, that perfect example in him.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think what we have to open up, you know, our eyes to is the fact that if we don't, then later on in the stages, these children often end up using drugs, going into drug abuse, alcohol. They end up, you know, committing crimes. The girls end up very loose, trying to fill that void with spending it with other men, etc. And this is a reality that I think...
This is a reality. You know, we're not scaremongering here. We're not kind of over-exaggerating. This is a reality. Most of the children that I work with, young people I work with in prison, this is their experience.
Yeah.
You know, they've come from families where, unfortunately, you know, the family unit wasn't strong and fathers were often absent. And, you know, you create enormous emotional problems for the future. And the fact that, you know, you look at other families where there are two-parent families and it's positive, and the fact that there's something massively important missing in your life for the whole of your life. You know, that's a really, sometimes you kind of, and you know, the number of young people who say to me that, who are envious when they see two-parent families.
Yeah,
and, you know, because not knowing your father, you know, one case where, you know, a brother, his father left him, he never knew him at all. From, you know, I think one or two, left him, has not connected with him at all since. And so he went through his teenage years and all his adult life not having any male role model at all.
Yeah.
And that is and creates a profound insecurity and lack of self-esteem in him. In another case, it was interesting. You know, there was a young brother who was brought up in, you know, his father again left, went abroad, had another family. And so that's massive. It's a massive amount of rejection.
Absolutely,
that he sees his father bringing up another family abroad, nurturing them, and he's got other brothers and sisters, and they're all being looked after by that dad.
I think it's that emotional void. I mean, when I've spoken to young people, they've said ideally they feel alone. And I think if you don't believe in your children and give them, give that love to your children in terms of, how was your day today? And, if you don't notice your children, then your children will go looking for that void to be filled. But I really appreciate you coming back on the show. Believe it or not, that's pretty much the first half of the show done. But so any words to round up? I mean, is there anything you're doing that people can get in contact with you, etc. Or
Well, obviously you can get in contact with me through my Facebook page. I'm doing a lot at the moment around drugs misuse. I'm doing a lot of drug workshops. And I'm going to be running some sex and relationship workshops in London in September.
In Birmingham at all?
No, I will probably. I'm in Birmingham in a couple of weeks, so I will be running workshops in Birmingham around drugs and sex and relationship issues, as well as maybe doing some stuff around parenting.
Okay.
And I just did a seminar recently, and I'm off to Korea. Actually, I'm off to South Korea, to Seoul. I'm off to do some lecturing there at one of their universities around social emotional aspects of learning and emotional well-being. So kind of quite busy at the moment. But just on the final point, I too often I see that there are mothers, they've got teenage boys, kids who are coming into it, and they are single-parent families. And we should revive that concept of community spirit. So where you see this as a situation, don't just look at it. Get involved in that family, and go and ask the sister, look, let me take your sons out. Let me take them out for a while. Someone else should look after those boys and do stuff with those boys. Because if they don't, and just be that male influence, I say, like you're an uncle, and your role is to be compassionate, caring, and supportive. So if you see that there's a situation out like this, let's be practical. There's a mother, she's finding it difficult to cope with her sons, and she's crying out for help. Go and help her, and just take those kids once a week. Yeah. Just once a week, take those kids, go take them out for a meal. You know, go out and get some fish and chips or whatever, and or go and see a film with them, or, you know, play a bit of sport with them, or take them to the gym. But this is something practically that we can do, and believe me, those boys will really appreciate it. You know, and then build up that connection. This is one of the things that we encouraged when we tried to launch the mentoring project in Birmingham, where we trained up all the mentors, and it was just, you know, when families are referred to you like this.
Yeah. We're coming up to an advert break.
So, that's a simple piece of advice I'd give to everyone.
Brilliant. And brilliant advice it was, mashallah. And jazakallah khairan for your time, and always a pleasure listening to you. You know, speak to you soon, inshallah. Thank you, brother. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, nearly coming up to the break. So, subhanallah, that first half went really quick. You know, second half we should be having someone called Craig Pinkney, inshallah. He's involved in some projects called Real Talk, Real Action. So we're going to look at the reality of what happens when these children don't, you know, have their fathers in their life. Stay tuned in, and I'll see you after the break, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, and welcome to Unity FM on 93.5 FM, the heart of the city in Birmingham. I hereby declare this radio station open.
The Abrahamic Foundation, an Islamic educational establishment situated in Smethwick. We offer structured courses for adults and children, including Tajweedul Quran,
Arabic language,
Weekday Madrasa,
Tuition Centre,
New Muslim Support Network,
Holiday Play Scheme.
For more information or to register, visit abrahamicfoundation.org.uk or call us now on 0121 448 0535.
The Abrahamic Foundation, a foundation for life.
मुश्ताक स्वीट्स, बफलो मिल्क से तैयार की गई खालिस देसी घी की लजीज मिठाइयाँ। मुश्ताक स्वीट्स की क्रीमी रसमलाई और मजेदार बर्फी के साथ साथ देसी मक्खन भी लीजिए। बर्मिंघम में 3 ब्रांचेस, 143 लोजेल्स रोड, 554 कवंट्री रोड और हेड ऑफिस 102 एलम रॉक रोड, बर्मिंघम। ऑर्डर के लिए कॉल कीजिए 0121-328-3837। मुश्ताक स्वीट्स, नाम ही काफी है।
Assalamu alaikum, this is Sain Bika and you're listening to 93.5 Unity FM.
Are you having immigration problems? Would you like to bring a family member to the UK? Then Stratford Solicitors can help you. We specialise in immigration and asylum and aim to provide a fast and effective service, ensuring your matters are dealt with efficiently. We also deal with family matters, including marriage difficulties and children's contact applications, and provide a mediation service to help ease your pain. For a free consultation, call 0121 753 2539 or visit Stratford Solicitors, the number 4, you.co.uk. Stratford Solicitors, fighting for justice for you.
With gold prices at an all-time high, why not take advantage and trade in your old gold for cash with Nashad Jewelers? We're currently exchanging and buying all types of gold, from 9-carat to 24-carat bracelets, chains, rings, necklaces and bangles. If it's gold, then Nashads are buying. We promise to beat any genuine written quote and can pay you by cash, cheque and even bank transfer. Visit Nashad Jewelers at 527 Stratford Road, Spark Hill, or contact us on 0121 773 4286.
Rust Chartered Accountants and Registered Auditors, having been established for over 15 years by Raza Ullah Samad, is one of the fastest growing Muslim accountancy firms in Birmingham. We're members of the prestigious Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. Whether you're a small or a large business, Rust Chartered Accountants have a team of qualified staff able to help you with all your accounting, auditing and taxation needs. We also assist with insolvencies. Our growth is a testimony to the high level of service we provide. Call Rust Chartered Accountants on 0121 777 1200 for a free consultation, or check online at www.accountantsrus.co.uk.
Khan's Karai and Grill House. Sizzling Desi Karais, succulent grills, chapal kebabs, Kabuli pilau, and much more. Bring your family and friends to the #1 grill house with segregated family seating areas and prayer room. Our traditional whole roasted lamb will add that extra oomph to your meal, along with our heavenly desserts, delicious mocktails, fresh milkshakes and juices. Visit KhansGrillhouse.com to check out our full menu. All our meat and chicken is 100% halal. Visit 280 Highgate Road, Sparkhill, B12 8ED, or call 7666154.
Assalamu alaikum, it's Mahmoud Basu. You're listening to Unity FM 93.5.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Unity FM 93.5. Okay, so the first half we've just got off the phone to Ilyas Karmani. He's based in Bradford. If you go on my Facebook page, Shalina, SHALINA, lit, L-I-T-T, you'll find him on there. He's got an unusual spelling to his name. It's Alias, A-L-Y-A-S, but I'm not sure, so check the page, inshallah. Okay, so going on to the second half of the show then. So a lot of stuff has come up in the first half, and I know it may seem a bit heavy, but I wanted to really just wrap it up properly and not really, sweep around corners. So what Ilyas Karmani was wrapping up and saying is that if you are around someone who is part of a single parent family and, you notice maybe that the father isn't around, then maybe you should take that active role as the uncle or whatever, and come in there. And what I was thinking also as he was saying that was that, again, if you are that father that is at home and it's a case of you're not making yourself emotionally available, then it's about, having that time with your children. And these can be done through the simplest of ways. Anything from, if you've got your little girls, saying, come on, let's cook together. If it's with the boys, then let's do what boys do, let's build Lego or whatever. And again, he mentioned a really important thing, and that is that in the early years, the emotional development of a child is very important. It's crucial in affecting a child's learning development. And this is something that we're taught in the early years. So I've got a couple of clips that I wanted to play. I hope that they're not too much for some listeners, but it's the realness of really where it can go if we ignore this, and may Allah protect our children from ever going through this, inshallah, ameen. But just a couple of clips I wanted you to listen to, and if you feel that you want to call in and give some feedback on this show, then please do. The number is 0121 772 8892, and you can text on 07926 843388.
365 days in a year that a son has to go through that father's house. You understand? A dad's supposed to be a backbone and a structure for a man's life, for a boy's life, to set them morals and standards. Do you understand? Because when you're out there in this jungle, and I will relate these concrete roads to a jungle, because out here is deep. Do you understand? Out here is deep, so at the end of the day, when you're living in these jungles, you need those men morals to know as a young man to survive. Do you understand? My mum had to find her own way to try and speak to me, how a man would have to speak to me, and I had to sit down and listen to what my mum was saying. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, even though I did meet my dad, I couldn't even call him dad because that respect was lost. I didn't look at this man as my dad. He's just a normal man. My mum's my mum and my dad, do you understand? And that's how it's always going to be until one black person sets the trend and people start setting the trend for being there for their kids. Do you understand? And as bad as things are, us youths who ain't got no fathers, we're all there for our youths right now.
I think what hurts the most for me is that I look different from everyone else and everyone notices it except for me. I only notice it, say if someone brings it up to me. But I always don't like people bringing it to my attention, because I've always tried to put it aside. I've always tried to ignore it, or sometimes I'm just oblivious to it until someone says, oh, you look a bit different. And to be honest, I don't know the reason why I do. I can't tell you, it's because my father's this, my father's that, because I have no idea. You haven't allowed me to have that bond or even have a picture, even have a name of who he is. So I just ignore it.
Okay, very emotional. As I said, that they do probably hit the heart, but it's the reality of where this could go if we don't take action as parents now. With me should be the maker of these videos. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to the show, Craig, and thank you for calling in.
Thank you for the invite.
I know that you're very busy and this is why you've had to call in, but alhamdulillah, we're grateful. So we just played the couple of clips that you'd sent me where obviously we've got the contrast of the male and the female speaking about the effects and maybe their views of having no father in their life present. Do you want to give us a bit of feedback on that, inshallah?
Yeah, I think it's best thing to just start with the beginning of some of the stuff that I've been doing.
Yeah.
Basically, I do a lot of stuff in the community in regards to young people that are very violent. They may engage in gang activity. Young women that are domestically abused. Young people are just finding themselves in very difficult situations. And being a part of many public services, youth offending, youth service, connections, social services.
Yeah.
I've noticed that majority of the time we tend to deal with behaviours and we don't tend to look at the issues that are really impacting our young people. So when I started working in the community, I wanted to find out what it was one of the main issues that was affecting our young people. Despite the violence, despite the picking up the gun, despite the picking up a knife, despite punching a woman in the face, despite wanting to be very sexual with different types of men, I wanted to find out what that was. And one of the key things that I found out was the issue of father deficit within our community. And the issue that the psychological damage that not having a father has, not just on males, but also females. And the things that we are seeing in terms of the behavior are basically fruits from the seeds of not having that father. And what I learned was that it didn't only affect males, but it affected females differently in the sense that they had issues around identity, sense of belonging, issues around relationships, how to have a male around them, what type of attention they needed from a male. And I found that very disturbing from a lot of the females that I was dealing with. Because a lot common, we always think majority about our males, and sometimes our females sometimes get forgotten about in our community and how those types of issues.
Now, I just want to really shed a bit of light on this. I know that predominantly most of the people I've seen that you work with are black youngsters, but this is an issue that is affecting a lot of people, isn't it? Regardless of your race, it's definitely an issue that I see generically across.
Yes.
So, what I was going to say to you is that, growing up in this area, because you got raised in Handsworth, was it?
Yes.
Okay. Did you, how active was your own father in your life?
I always had a father in my life. I think that was probably one of the most powerful things that I guess I acknowledged when I started studying sociology, psychology, and criminology.
Okay.
So it's one of the things that I took in consideration.
Was you one of the few in the area, like where you were living, that had
put it
that?
This way, I was living in a cul-de-sac with about 32 houses.
Yeah.
And out of the whole 32 houses, my household was the only household that had a father. Fast forward 26 years, and I look at all of the people that lived in that cul-de-sac. There's maybe about 3 of us that are doing something positive in our lives. Everybody's either serving a 35-year sentence, serving a 22-year sentence. They've murdered. They've done everybody wrong.
Your line is getting a little bit bubbly, so bear that in mind.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just getting a bit bubbly. So, that's quite alarming, really, I guess. So, I spoke to Ilyas Karmani in the beginning, and what we established was that emotional availability is very important. And, it's not, because my ignorance was that obviously absent fathers was about the father physically wasn't there.
No,
but only
psychologically.
Yeah, this is about them actually being there, psychologically and emotionally.
But at the South Asian community, because I have loads of footage that's out there, but I don't put enough out there.
Okay.
And, even though I've been dealing with I've been doing some work in Nottingham, and I was doing some work with some South Asian communities. And what we're finding is that these fathers, like I was working with a group of white boys, and they all had fathers in their household, but their fathers were like lorry drivers, individuals that didn't have a presence in their household.
Right.
And people was also coming from affluent areas, business fathers where they may be working up and down the country internationally, and they didn't really have a physical relationship with their fathers. Similar to, as I said, the Asian community, you have a lot of fathers that are into very much business. So, for example, I was working with a young boy, and one of his family members worked in Pack Supermarket, and, father had 2 wives, and although he had a dad in the household, he didn't really see his father.
Right.
And when he got to the age of 15, 16, 17, he was displaying behaviours in which his parents couldn't explain, the school couldn't explain, and the youth offending service couldn't explain what it was.
Okay.
And that's the issue, that we always see the behaviours and we always try to engage with the behaviours, but we don't take the time to sit back and retrack what it is. Because it's that attention that they need, it's that male figure that they need around them, it's that masculine, ambience that they want from males. And because they're missing that, they display their behaviours in a ways that sometimes we don't understand.
So the big question then I want to ask you is, how do you connect with these, with those that are affected? Obviously as parents, because this is what I try to focus on with the show, is re-educating parents and empowering parents with the knowledge to really, get to know their children. So as somebody who's out there working with those that are affected, how do you connect with those, individuals?
I think the first point is not being judgmental. There's many things that when I do things with young people, I was asking the question, what makes me so effective in working with you? And they say simple, you give us respect, you're not judgmental, you listen, we can trust you, you're not somebody that's dictating what you think about certain situations. And you got to think at times when these kids are at home, when they're probably making their mums frustrated, the mum's frustrated about not having dad around and frustrated that you're probably not at college and you're not doing the things that they want you to do. Sometimes they're also affected to the point where they know that their child needs a male. And because I don't know how to deal with that myself, the response that I give you sometimes can come across negative. So when we work with young people, I can't talk to my mum, because all she ever does is shout after me. I can't talk to my mum, because the last time I spoke to her about internet, she just told me at the house, she's just like your father. And sometimes we need to not reinforce the ideology. We need to not reinforce the rhetoric of, your dad's this and you're just like your dad, because they will grow up with the thought and the process that this is how I'm supposed to be with emails and all those continue.
The phone line's really getting bad now. I don't know where you are.
Can you hear me?
It was really breaking up near the end there. If possible, if you could, I don't know, go by window.
I was saying that basically we need to not reinforce the cycle of the words and the wordplay that we utilise with our children. I work with a lot of kids, and I've heard their mother say, "You're just like your father." You don't do this, you don't do that. Now you imagine what that does to the psychology of a young male that grows up hearing that he's just like his father, and he believes that his father is
Sorry, it's really near the end of what you're saying. It's crackling.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, say that last bit. Sorry,
I've got a full bar here.
Okay,
I'm in a quiet room. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah. So, what you're saying then? Sorry if we go over. So, a lot of the young children then have said that they've heard their parents speaking ill, maybe of the father in the situation, etc. So, on a positive note, because obviously we try to implement Quran and Sunnah here, and if we look at how Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam connected with children, we know that he never raised his hand sallallahu alaihi wasallam on children, and when we look at these examples, isn't it about us all taking responsibility, as people out there in the community and as parents ourselves, to be there for our children, but to believe in them, I believe, when it comes down to it. Because all the authorities and the people that I speak to that work with young people, what the young people buy into and really, love is the fact that they find, someone who believes in them. And doesn't judge them, like you said. Would you say there's truth in that?
Yeah, of course. And I think for me, You know, I always say we need to bring back the village mentality. You know, function as a village no more, because our communities are so disorganized, because our communities are so dysfunctional and the household is so dysfunctional. We don't think and we don't operate as a village. And what I mean by bringing it back to the village is that if you see a child in your community that is disaffected by some reason, you as a standing member of that community to engage with that. If I'm driving down the road and I see an 8-year-old standing on the corner at 9 o'clock at night, my question is, what are you doing outside?
Yeah.
Who is your brother? Who is your cousin? So I can find out what members of the community are related to this individual, so I can make sure that his well-being is okay.
See, the funny thing is, I don't know how it was growing up for you, but for me, you know, being a young Asian, you know, if I was out on the road, before I knew it, Auntie G was on the phone to my mum and was like, what is your daughter doing out there? You know, and it seems like we've lost, you know, that disconnection in the community. And, you know, for me, even, you know, I grew up in Small Heath, and, you know, Small Heath is predominantly black, Asian. It's changed dramatically, but, you know, there was so much love in the community. And, yeah, I think we do need to incorporate that community and the responsibility as a community in a sense as well. So
I totally agree with you. And that's what the village is about.
Okay, we're coming up to the end now, to be honest. But so wrapping it up, then, you know, what is there that you're doing? Is there something available where if there was a mother listening and she thought, hey, really would like to reach out to this brother, inshallah, or there's some young people that have really just been enlightened by what you said, how can we reach out to you, inshallah?
You can get me on my email address, which is info@real-action.org, or you can contact me on Twitter, which is Action UK, all one word. And I will kind of put it out there that, you know, this conversation has inspired me. I would like to do with yourselves a session in the community and invite parents coming from all backgrounds to talk about this issue, to talk about how it affects our babies, and look for solutions that we can help our future generations. Because one thing we can do is talk. One thing we can have these brilliant discussions and radio shows in the community, and it's all good, but we need to see physically, we need to come together physically and make something happen. So that's my proposition to you guys, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, okay, and it's been wonderful having you on the show as well, mashallah. And we'll definitely have to act on that, inshallah, and facilitate that, because there are, a lot of people out there that want to do right by their children, but like you said, they genuinely are just fighting a losing battle right now because they don't know how. So if we, have some advice that we can offer them, then alhamdulillah, so let's do that, inshallah, and we'll put information on FB, on Facebook, with details of that.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, inshallah. Okay, jazakallah khairan, and we'll speak to you soon, inshallah. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No worries.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, so that was Craig Pinkney. Again, if you go onto my Facebook page, I think I've put links on there for the guests that I've had on. So very important, the things that have been brought to issue there. Definitely. Talking of community, there was a nasheed that's been sent through that I think is very positive. It was done by Abdul Wahab, otherwise known as UK Apache. He's done a nasheed about Sheikh Arma, trying to get people to sign a petition. And I remember last week that Martin Glynn mentioned that we needed to do things to engage, the community more, and in a way to engage with the youth. And I think he's done a really good job of this. So this is the nasheed, inshallah.
Time doesn't wait, don't you hesitate, oh no. Time doesn't wait, don't you hesitate, oh no. I say, time doesn't wait for no one, for your brother. You've got to sign and galang for Shaka Amma. Time doesn't wait for no one, for this ummah. You've got to sign. Time doesn't wait for no one, for your brother. You've got to sign and galang for Shaka Amma. Time doesn't wait for no one. You've got to sign with a little piece of action. we can find a solution to fix the situation and stop the sufferation. Oh yes, with a little piece of action, we can find a solution to fix the situation. So sign the petition. That's why I say, time doesn't wait for no one for your brother. You've got to sign and go along for Shaka Amma. Time doesn't wait for no one for this ummah. You've got to sign. Time doesn't wait for no one for your brother. You've got to sign and go along for Shaka Amma. Time doesn't wait for no one. You've got to sign.
Move forward, not back. You don't wanna slack, time waste or not that. You wanna be on track, stop slipping. The clock's ticking and hours are mounting. Listen to the words that we're announcing. Home sweet home, that's where he wanna go. Out of this hell, Guantanamo. He's flesh and blood, he hardly even knows. But his faith keeps him breathing so.
Can't rewind reality, define the majesty of the universe, for better or worse. So immerse your soul, sign the petition, let the brother him go. Can't rewind reality, define the majesty of the universe, for better or worse. So immerse your soul. The president said he's gonna close Guantanamo. Time doesn't wait for no one for your brother. You've got to sign and go along for Shaka Amma. Time doesn't wait for no one. You've got to sign. Time doesn't wait for no one for your brother. You've got to sign and go along for Shaka Amma. Time doesn't wait for no one. You've got to sign.
365 days in a year that a son has to go through that father.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, welcome back. So that was the nasheed by Abdul Wahab, otherwise known as UK Apache, getting you to sign the petition for Sheikh Amma. Okay, so going back to the topic of the show, absent fathers, definitely a re-education for me. Thought I'd really understood the whole concept, but it really has been a learning journey. We had Abdul Wahid on the show last week as well from ICT in London, in Croydon. What they've done at their masjid, which is quite noble of them, mashallah, is they've set up something called Young Companions, which I did want to put out there, because obviously we have many masjids in Birmingham, and in terms of us getting the community to come together, I think there's only so much that we can do that's within our control. And sometimes where the mother and father can't get on, we need to be able to access the masjids as arbitration, so that we don't maybe reach out to authorities and it can get a bit messy or sticky. Young Companions, if there are mothers who obviously are raising sons, etc., or one parent families, then the young people then obviously get somebody from the community who's well known, and they get to take them, etc., which I think is brilliant, because we're not putting the responsibility on adults. We're keeping it in terms of references with people that we know from the community. So quite a passionate topic. Please forgive me if I didn't manage to answer any of the calls. I felt it was important to hear what the brothers had to say, and they were quite stuck for time. But if you do want to bring in some comments before the show is over, it's 0121 772 8892. Okay, so just rounding up, breaking the cycle. One of the things I wanted to say was that if you are an adult and you realise from this show that you have been affected by absent father syndrome, then what seems to be the case, and what's come out of me speaking with the brothers, is that breaking the cycle is about, number one, acknowledging that you've been affected by these issues. So if you felt that you or your family were emotionally unavailable for you, it's about you acknowledging that and then looking at was there that role model for you? Was there someone who believed in you? If not, then you probably looked elsewhere for it. So breaking through is about acknowledging, what has affected you and who you are today. And once you've broken through this, then maybe you can begin to break the cycle. As a woman, maybe you're not going to, go and look for the similar character that you've been looking for in the past, in terms of that emotional connection and settling down with somebody. And as a male, maybe you'll be able to reconnect with your children differently. That's definitely what seems to have come out of it. Also, what I wanted to do was acknowledge that, there are voids that the children are looking to fill. And if those voids aren't filled, then the children are going to end up accessing things in the long run. And this is what I think is important that we see as parents, is we're preparing for what's to come. And I always say this, if you do not make it your business to know your children, there are other people that are making it their business to know your children. One of the workshops that I do, I was sitting with loads of children, and I got everybody to, all the boys in general particularly, to state what trainers they had on. And I'm not going to name out any brands, but it began with A and the second letter was D. But and everybody predominantly had this brand on, and I said, what we need to come in tune here is the fact that how does this, this brand know how to affect people to get them into a store and say, I'm going to reach out for this particular brand? Somehow they've affected your thinking. And we know how they do this. They do this through different mediums. David Beckham, Usain Bolt now is going to be one. So once they've captured your heart and they know your heart, they can then affect the attitudes and beliefs. And what I'm saying is, as a parent, who's trying your best.
I am a builder. I listen to Unity FM in my digger. 93.5, heart of the city.
From September this year, the Markfield Institute of Higher Education is offering a BA in Islamic Studies. Our degrees are awarded by the University of Gloucestershire, but our fees are considerably lower than all universities. If you are an alim or alima, you may be able to complete your degree in 2 years. Apply by the 31st of August and you'll get a 5% discount on your first year's fees. For more information, visit our website mihe.org.uk.
This is Sheikh Abu Hanifa. You are listening to Unity FM on 93.5.
Asif's Pharmacy, provider of Hajj and Umrah meningitis vaccination services. We now bring you asifspharmacy.com, the new online pharmacy. With thousands of pages of expert health advice, asifspharmacy.com is full of essential information for every Muslim. Order online from your home and choose from over 8,000 pharmacy and healthcare products, all at discount prices. Ordering your repeat prescriptions online from asifspharmacy.com is easy and simple, with free delivery. Asifspharmacy.com is run by Asif's Pharmacy, 29 Allen Rock Road, Birmingham, B8, or call 328-2320. Caspian Pizza, the first halal pizza franchise in the UK. Along with all the firm family favourites, why not try our new meatball pizza? Or you can create your own. We also have side orders including pastas, barbecue or spicy chicken wings, burgers, chicken strippers, mozzarella sticks and garlic mushrooms. Come along and mention Unity FM to get a 10% discount. And by the way, all our meats are HMC approved. To find your local store and franchise opportunities, visit www.caspianpizza.com.
फैमिली के साथ आइए और कैस्पियन पिज़्ज़ा का लुत्फ उठाइए.
Planning on going on Hajj or Umrah? Ensure that you have your affairs in order prior to departing on this journey of a lifetime by preparing your Islamic will. It is narrated by the Blessed Prophet, peace be upon him, that it is a duty of every Muslim who has anything to bequeath not to let 2 nights pass without writing a will about it. Sahih al-Bukhari. I Will Solicitors is a leading Muslim provider of Islamic wills in the country. Our solicitors can help you prepare your Islamic will before you leave for Hajj. For a free consultation, call 0121 288 8808 or visit iwillsolicitors.com. We also specialise in inheritance tax planning, probate, court of protection work and trust matters. That's 288 8808. I Will Solicitors. Professional, trusted, efficient.
The wait is over. Kids Go Wild is where fun never ends. It's the UK's first ladies and children's only indoor soft play centre. Our play equipment includes separate baby and toddler area, larger play area, a football basketball court and our very own cafe. Visit kidsgowild.co.uk for more info. Also on site, Bodytone Gym Fitness for ladies. Come and check out our new purpose-built gym or visit bodytone-gym.co.uk. Located on Fernley Road, Sparkhill, B11 3NL or ring 772-3632. 2 amazing businesses, 1 great location. Opening Monday 2nd July.
Are you looking for the ideal restaurant to get together with family and friends? Then La Favorita is the place to be. We offer the very best Italian and Asian cuisine, along with a full range of French patisseries. Enjoy our mouth-watering steaks, homemade pastas, freshly made pizzas, mixed grills, and fresh karahis. Remember, all our meat is 100% halal. We have segregated areas for families and a children's play area. To make a booking, call 771 4112 or visit 72 Alfred Street, Sparkbrook, B12 8JP. Alternatively, visit lafavorita.co.uk for more info.